morning, everybody. So, we're down here in the cellar doing my annual cellar cleanup. I always do this, especially before winter. It's a long winter, and it gets pretty cold. I mean, it's pretty cold down here right now. It really gets kind of cold down here later. So, I really should do this twice a year. I should do it like right now in October, and then I should do it again in April. But I didn't do it last April. So it's really in desperate need of it today. If any of you buy an old house, you know, if you're going to want to downsize, you're going to want to get rid of the mortgage, you want to live a simpler life, so you go buy an old farmhouse. Chances are you're going to have a cellar in the basement. The other chances are is that cellar is going to be unusable. Starting at about mid-70s, up until the trend now, people quit using the cellar. So they were just kind of left alone for dirt and dust and water possibly. This cellar was just full. The original owner of this home was an elderly lady, and she lived here for probably most of her adult life. Her name was Miss Odell, and she canned, and it was just full of canning jars. They were all on the floor, some broken. If you follow me, you know, a year or so back, when I was doing all this, I was able to reclaim quite a few vintage jars. In fact, I have you know, they talk about using vintage jars to can in. And really, let's say 8 times out of 10, you're probably not going to be able to. They're probably going to be chipped, possibly cracked. This is probably one of the oldest jars that I got, that I was able to reclaim. I don't know if you can see it. It's a pine jar, so you can look it up, P-I-N-E. This is turkey noodle soup that I canned December of 2017. Now, this is the last jar I have of this soup. I did have a bunch of little jars that I used for lunches, and let me tell you, it tasted just as good as when I canned it, as it did earlier this year when I had the last little individual jar. So, you know what? Try out your old jar. If it holds a seal, you might luck out and end up with a good one like this one. But anyway, back on track. Okay, so now your cellar floor may be dirt. Mine is cement. I actually thought it was dirt when I went to reclaim it. But as I dug, I realized, no, this is a complete cement floor. So then it was, you know, you can sweep it. We do not have a drain down here, so it was not like I could hose it down, which is my preference when it comes to that. So that was not an option. I had to dig out a lot of dirt, especially at that end. See that plastic on that door right there? The door is gone. I want to replace it just with a piece of plywood, just a door. But that is all dirt in there. That is actually an addition that someone put on the house 1,000 years ago. But that dirt has come in through time. Who knows? Who knows why it did. So anyway, let me show you one of the first things I do. So one of the first things I do is I take Ajax. You can use Comet. You can use any preference of bleach powder. That's the important thing. It'd be bleach powder. And I sprinkle it all over the floor, just like I would carpet powder or anything else. And I do this the day before I clean. And I just let it sit down here. This not only Kind of helps freshen up the smell down here because, you know, it's a cellar. It gets kind of dank and dark. But it also has a bit of sanitary use to it as well. I mean, it is bleach powder. But that's what I do. I just sprinkle it all over just like I would carpet fresh or something like that. I did this last night, so it's been down here all night. And now I'm going to sweep it all up. This obviously sweeps out my cellar, which it's time for. And it really spreads out the rest of that bleach powder. It's probably not active anymore. I could still smell it, though, when I open the top. But yeah, so that's what I'll do. All right, once I've done that job, and I dust and wipe off all my jars. Now, normally when you clean house, you dust, then you vacuum or sweep. But the reason I do it second is because when I'm sweeping this floor up, it gets really dusty in here. So if I would have dusted my jars and then swept the floor, it would have just covered them in dust again. So we do that second. You know, this idea, I think I'm tempted to go back to. When I first started bringing jars down here, I covered them all with these little coffee filters and rubber bands or string, whatever, to keep the dust off of them. And then I got kind of was like, oh, it's just a step I don't need, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't do it. I kind of wished I would have done it, and I think I'm gonna go get some more coffee filters and go ahead and cover the remaining jars I have down here, just to save me some time later. Don't forget look at that. Oh, I tell you what, I cannot wait to taste this spring. Still got all that cheese. Not one speck of mold in any of it. Probably gonna try some of it out over the holidays. Might have to when I melt it, I might have to add a little milk to it, but no big deal. And that was canned in March. So anyway, that's what we do when we clean out our cellars. And like I said, it's just something I should do twice a year. I do it at least once a year. I always do it just before winter. And, you know, you should have a nice, neat cellar. Nobody wants to go to the grocery store and everything be all dirty and dusty and stuff, right? Yeah, well, you don't want to go down in your cellar and have that either. Nope. So yeah, there you go. Nice clean cellar.